A better America with a stronger economy, proactive immigration policies, better healthcare access, quality education, and protection of our God given rights. This America is what I, Maimuna Jalloh, am willing to fight for to create a safer and sweeter future for generations of Americans to come. Vote Jalloh Johnson 2020.
This message is sponsored by the Cookies and Cream Party for a Sweeter Future.
The subject of immigration is a highly debated topic, but it is simply a fact that the U.S. natives benefit from immigration. Immigrants have proven to increase productivity rates in America while taking up the numerous job opportunities that have been neglected by Americans. Seeking a way to care for their family, immigrants often pick up low-paying, physically demanding jobs that usually have no official benefits in their contract, if a contract is even made. They work gruesome, tasking jobs only to be cheated of their well-deserved wage. In fact, employers in our country seek out unauthorized immigrants in order to exploit them and keep their wages low. Scheming employers who do such are both a detriment to immigrants and natural-born citizens in the workforce. If it is not already horrific enough, the reason so many of these cases go unreported is because employers can retaliate by taking actions that can lead to their unauthorized employees' deportation. What kind of country do you, the citizens, want this to be? A country of inclusivity and hard work, or a country of hate that drives out good-willed people? Would you want to strip away the opportunities with which you were all born? To those who try to argue that immigrants are stealing our jobs, should face the fact that immigrants contribute to job creation because they account for around a quarter of entrepreneurs and a quarter of investors in the U.S. With the powerful combination of an otherwise shortage of jobs and the additional jobs created, immigration fuels the economy. They not only increase the productivity of the U.S.'s workforce, but they increase the incomes of natives too. In fact, they are responsible for an additional $36 to $72 billion in citizens' GDP annually. If anything, we should be thanking them. The problem Americans are so worried about does not even exist. Not only do they create jobs, but immigrants also pay taxes, whether they are authorized or not. Needless to say, it is unfair to force people to pay taxes, whether they are or additional money that some do not have to give up in the first place while receiving no benefits in exchange. To be clear, the Cookies and Cream Party does not condone illegal immigration, but many of these hard workers are unauthorized because of the current policy that's implemented. With the millions of others who seek asylum or simply want to live the American dream, becoming a citizen can be difficult. What us privileged natives neglect to remember is that these people are sometimes thrown into the situation without any allowed preparation. If your next-door neighbor ran into your house pleading for your help because they were in danger, would you turn them around and only tell them to come back once they asked you in advance? We need to be more considerate of the millions of men, women, and children, and instead of turning our back as a country, guide them through a more efficient yet thorough legalization process. Under Ms. Jalloh's presidency, she would work with Congress and Homeland Security to implement a policy with no restrictive quotas. Moreover, these said quotas and limits are the reason that immigrants may have to wait decades for a green card while other immigrants may not have to wait at all. The arbitrary picking and choosing of which well-qualified individuals become legalized is simply unjustifiable, and future President Jalloh will make sure the solution to a broken immigration system is a priority.
So I will be talking about the Cookies and Cream view on healthcare. So just a little background information. What even is healthcare? Healthcare is the maintenance or improvement of health through prevention, diagnosis, treatment, recovery, or cure of disease, illness, injury, and other physical and mental impairments in people. Healthcare is delivered by health professionals in allied health fields. What is the purpose of this? The purpose of healthcare is to enhance quality of life by enhancing health. Commercial businesses focus on creating financial profit to support their valuation and remain viable. Healthcare must focus on creating social profit to fulfill its promise to society. Now, why is healthcare so important? Having health insurance is important for several reasons. Uninsured people receive less medical care and less timely care. They have worse health outcomes, and lack of insurance is a fiscal burden for them and their families. Health coverage helps pay costs when you need care. Nobody ever plans to get sick or injured, but most people need medical care at some point. Health coverage helps pays for these costs and protects you from very high expenses. Having health coverage can help protect you from high, unexpected costs like these. So, the Cookies and Cream Party has some issues that we'd like to work with and make our country better. The first one is out-of-control drug pricing. When it comes to prescription drugs, the problem is the price. The lack of competition, transparency, and accountability in the prescription drug market has allowed drug makers to take advantage of our broken market for their own financial gain. As a result, everyone, patients, businesses, taxpayers, hospitals, doctors, and pharmacists, they pay more. This is just not something that we would like to keep going with. We'd like to lower them down and settle it at a good price so that everyone can pay. The second issue is the Medicare Advantage innovation. Medicare Advantage invests in new and innovative programs and works hard to improve how care is delivered, lower the cost of care, and lead to healthy outcomes for patients. Unlike traditional Medicare Advantage allows adults 65 and older to go get vision, dental, hearing, and wellness care without worrying about additional costs. Recognizing the connection between health and lifestyle goes beyond traditional medical care to help their members live active and healthy lives. The last and final issue that we'd like to address is the social barriers influencing health. The idea that where we grow, live, and work can shape our health isn't new. But by addressing these social and economic factors, we can help people in their communities become healthier. Health insurance providers are focused on improving social detriments of health by coordinating housing, employment, education, and food services, and supporting other needs like childcare, in addition to traditional health services. So, in all, the Cookies and Cream Party wants the best health care for our country.
Gun control is a very serious topic in our campaign, and there can be multiple views on gun control. Our views on gun control are that there needs to be a better system all around. There should be more intense background checks on whoever is possessing or purchasing any type of firearm. Fugitives and people who have been incarcerated are people who are seen to be a danger to society, but if they have done their time, there is no need to keep putting that sign on their back saying that they can't be trusted. Also, we believe that yes, fugitives should not be able to purchase a gun if they came here illegally, but if anyone who comes here legally should be able to purchase a firearm. If they have served their time and are helping the community, there should be no need for them not to be able to purchase a firearm. For people who have mental illnesses who might cause any sort of violent actions towards people or themselves and had a past of that, then obviously they shouldn't be purchasing a firearm. But just because a person has a mental illness does not mean they shouldn't be able to purchase a firearm. If they have been a law-abiding citizen and have done nothing wrong to hurt others or themselves, there should be no problem. Deeper into background checks would help a lot of people feel more secure with who really has a gun. The Second Amendment serves as the legal basis for the right of people to bear arms. Though state law and social and local governments regulate where the residents may, for example, carry guns in public, laws regulating who may receive or possess guns or sit out, that will go straight to the federal level. A background check is required to purchase a firearm and needs to stay that way because the amendment to the 1968 Gun Control Act requires holders to conduct a background check. Potential firearm purchasers fill out a federal form known as the ATF 4473, which checks for prior convictions and other red flags. We believe no one should feel that they aren't safe and can't purchase a firearm, because guns can be used as security and shouldn't be taken off the table completely. But there needs to be a change and a safer way to buy firearms and a safer way to know who has a firearm.
So I'm going to be talking about LGBTQ rights and why they're important in our society today. So LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. And our party, the Cookies and Cream Party, believes that the LGBT community should have the same exact rights that everyone else in our society has. So LGBT rights have become a huge topic in our society today and a huge talking point in politics, etc. The LGBT community has also been featured in various films, various television series, commercials, etc. And this has really helped to make this more mainstream and normalizing it in our society. Despite all of these advances in our community, LGBT people still face real discrimination. Our governed leaders and us as a society still need to work together and strive to make these people feel more welcome into our community. From parades to rainbow flags to signs hanging up, anything of that sort can help this. Another great platform we can use is social media. And although social media has its downsides, it can also get the word out very quickly to everyone who uses Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., which is most people that we know. So why do we, the Cookies and Cream Party, believe this? Why do we believe that the LGBTQ plus community should have the same rights as we do? Despite your own personal beliefs, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Imagine this. You're being judged off of who you love, which you can't control. Some families may even disown you because of this. Now to touch on the transgender bit of all of this. These people, as they're growing up, may feel that they were put into the wrong body in a sense. Maybe they feel more feminine or more masculine than they're supposed to be. And again, this is something that they can't control. They may feel that their life is meaningless, they may feel lost, they may feel like they have no one to talk to about this. This is why it's so important to make these kids, or adults even, feel like they have a place in the world and they're not wrong for feeling the way that they're feeling, and that they're loved and accepted. Back to my main point. This is why it's our duty as citizens to go out of our way and make these people who feel lost important and loved, as I said. That's why for the 2020 election, you should vote for Jalloh and Johnson. They have made a promise to give this group of people the rights that they deserve. They will make this one of their top priorities. It is your duty as a U.S. citizen to vote for someone like Jalloh and Johnson that has promised to do these things for these people. Thank you, and vote Jalloh and Johnson 2020.
Good afternoon, students. My name is Jalloh Johnson. I'm the Vice President of the Cookies and Cream Political Party. As you know, there are plenty of problems with our education system, but today I'm going to be elaborating about 4 of the most important ones, which are overpopulation, college costs, college gender gap, and education equity. So, for overpopulation, I feel like the smaller the class, the better the individual student experience. A study by the NCES, which is National Center for Education Statistics, found that 14% of U.S. schools exceed capacity. At a time where children need more attention than ever to succeed, overcrowded classrooms are making it even tougher to learn and tougher for teachers to be effective. Now, the next problem is the cost of college. Why is college so expensive? College is expensive for many reasons, including a surging demand, an increase in financial aid, a lack of state funding, a need for more faculty members and money to pay them, and ballooning student services. This situation is very imperative, especially to students who need an education and simply cannot afford it. Now, the next problem is gender gap. This is an issue I feel very strongly about. If you've been following education at all, you've likely read about the push to better encourage girls in areas like science, technology, engineering, and math, or otherwise known as STEM. The thought is that by showing these young women that these subjects are just as important, just as appropriate, and maybe even more appropriate for them than male students, more women will likely find lasting careers in mainly male-dominated fields. I'm all for more women in the STEM workplace. If men don't need a degree to simply land a job in any field, then neither should women. If men don't need to go to college to make six figures doing manual labor, then neither should women. And our last problem that I'm going to be explaining is education equity. Now, education equity is something we have not achieved as a country. Equity in education has long been an ideal celebrated in a variety of contexts. Even the founding fathers celebrated education as an ideal, something to which every citizen ought to be entitled. Unfortunately, though, the practice of equity in education has been less than effective. Equity, in the end, is a difficult ideal to maintain, and many strategies attempting to maintain it have fallen far short in the implementation. To achieve equity, school systems need to have an approach for analyzing findings about recommended shifts in learning approaches and objectives. These approaches should also help teachers and administrators understand not what they have to avoid, but what it is that they can do to achieve optimal equity and moving forward. And last, our stance on education. We believe that all students deserve the opportunity to receive an affordable, quality education. That begins with the earliest stage of school to high-level degrees. We plan to pass our very own act called the Every Student Can Act, or the ESCA. This act will ensure that every student, from the poorest to the richest, will get their education. Early childhood education, which includes elementary school, middle school, and high school, will all be high-quality, affordable education. We believe that all public colleges and universities should be tuition-free, and that is also within the ESCA, Every Student Can Act. Another important issue that our ESCA covers is the educators and their salary. Teachers do not get paid enough for their imperative role they play in our society, so we will be increasing pay by 4.5%. And last but not least, we will reduce the student loans interest rate, and we will make sure all student debt is canceled. Thank you.
We the people to form a more perfect union. Words written by the framers over 250 years ago that set off the start of the independence of a young, poor, and deprived nation. Furthering the spark of democracy that has been set off for generations and generations of Americans, young, old, black, white, immigrant, and natural born. I stand before you today as a candidate unlike any other to come before me. These men that have carved history for our nation and who have had differing beliefs and backgrounds, but who have been entrusted by the American people to lead and serve their nation. Today, I stand before you as a first-generation American, a black woman whose parents strive to build the American dream for my siblings and I, who grew up in a home where education and a strong work ethic were valued. I stand here before you today as a candidate whose parents taught me to accept others and work towards an equitable future no matter what obstacles may lie ahead. I stand here today knowing that I will be weaved into American history, regardless of the impending outcome, and my heritage will follow along with me. As my time as president, I plan to continue to work towards the benefit and well-being of the American people. I value our nation and the people of our nation. To me, valuing and protecting the rights that we as citizens are granted and those that are stated explicitly in the Constitution is my top priority. I plan to add on to our nation's strong foundation and history by implementing policy changes pertaining to gun rights, education, foreign policy, healthcare, and lastly, LGBTQ rights. Immigration has built the rich history of our nation, with our ancestors coming from lands near and far. Our nation's citizenship and immigration process is arduous and time-consuming. And to build a more diverse and strong nation, I intend to shorten the amount of time for immigrants to obtain their citizenships and permanent residencies. Education is also of utmost important because if our children are not educated, regardless of socioeconomic background, racial background, our country will fall. The children are our future. We must continue to provide quality education and care for students. The quality of this nation's education system could start to diminish the amount of poverty within our states. It is imperative that we create a stronger education system that sets our children up for more profitable futures for not only themselves, but for their families as well. Education goes hand in hand with healthcare, which is a necessity for every American citizen, but yet still, it is not the reality. I will work towards more affordable healthcare for all and a more reliable system for the oldest citizens of our nation all the way to those that are the youngest. While my time with you is short, remember this. I am prepared for the challenges that lie ahead, for the wins and the losses, for the ups and the downs. But I promise each and every American that I will never stop working towards creating a more perfect union with the help of Congress and my confidence to create a sweeter future for each and every American citizen. Thank you.
Now, as the Cookies and Cream Party, we have 3 items that we'd like to share. So the first item is the Cookies and Cream Hershey Kisses. Now, obviously, we would have given you guys real ones, but since we don't have class, we couldn't have. But these Hershey Kisses just symbolize our diversity within our group. So this is our second item, and it's just the throwaway pencil that you can use and write with.
Our campaign stickers for the Cookies and Cream Party candidates, Maimuna, Jalloh, and Jai Johnson. And as you can see, our main candidate, Maimuna Jalloh's face, is made into a sticker that anyone can use to stick on anything. So if I wanted to stick one of these stickers on my iPad, then I could peel the back and stick it right on my iPad for anyone to see. Thank you. So these are the Cookies and Cream Party campaigning item examples. So this is just a sticker that you can stick on anything. This is a bumper sticker that obviously you put on your bumper in your car. This is an ad that you would see in a newspaper or a magazine. And finally, this is a flyer that you would see hanging around.
I'm Jalloh Johnson.
And we're a part of the Cookies and Cream Party, hoping for a better future for all, with better immigration, more affordable health care, equity for all, and a better future. And if we can handle these guys, then we can handle anything.
This commercial was sponsored by the Cookies and Cream Party. Vote for them for the 2020 election. Thank you. Jalloh and Johnson 2020. Sweet leaders for a sweeter future.